Charlie Brooker's there and like he's coming in and they're all there, and then they come in and they put the cans on, and I'm unaware that they're there and that they're coming and listening and watching to what we're doing. And then they all just hear me kind of go, shout bitch at Salma Hayek basically halfway through the take.
Welcome to Before the Lights. If you're new here, we're a team of health professionals based in London who train people from all over the creative world to get ready for TV, film, even live shows, but most importantly, for everyday life. I'm Dave Hasty.
I'm George Ashwell.
I'm Georgia Canavan.
And I'm Josh Betteridge.
We've been lucky enough to build a pretty special group of members here at the club, so we thought it would be nice for other people to get to know some of them as well as we do.
I was like, I need to start going to the gym. So I literally got out my laptop, and was like, PT's for actors.
Welcome to Before the Lights podcast, guys. I'm Greg James. With me over here is Dangerous Dave, and here is Evil George. And today we're talking grind set.
Grind set?
It's not about mindset, guys. It's about grind set.
It was the very first time I met you when you came in and you actually had to run off and be sick in the toilet.
You feel quite vulnerable when you're kind of lying on your back with your legs up in the air because you feel sick. Just breathing, and I'm like, this never happens. I'm so sorry.
So sit back, only do some exercise if you want to, and maybe even learn something about how to look after yourself. Welcome back to the Before the Lights podcast. I'm joined by Georgia today. How are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. What have you been doing?
Just Pilates.
Just Pilates.
I feel like that's my answer every time. I'm like,
you're better than George. George just goes, same thing as you.
Gives you nothing back.
Yeah, we did. Well, to be fair, he's always right. We are doing the same things all the
running
time.
around, doing Pilates, doing movement, same old.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, today I'm very excited about this episode because we're welcoming our very first camera operator onto the podcast.
Yay!
So welcome today to Ilana Garrard. Garrard. I've gone weird with it. Even though we spoke about this.
You wanted to go northern. You were like, it's northern.
I'll
so
do it how it would naturally just come out.
Yeah,
Ilana Garrard.
Yeah,
Garrard.
I mean, that's the natural way. It's the right way.
Thank you. Are there people walking around Kent just sounding like they're from Yorkshire then?
Yes.
Garrard.
Yeah, Garrard.
Everyone's like, what? Who are these guys? But this is going to be super interesting. We've heard plenty about life on screen, but we haven't heard much about the other side, and that's very much your domain.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I also, in the lead up to this, I do a little bit of research. I checked out your IMDb because I thought I'll bring up some stuff that you've done. And turns out,
busy.
like the most modest person ever.
I know.
I was
Even
literally like,
what?
I knew like you're a busy girl and you've done a lot of cool stuff. But then I was like, all these like films and TV shows. I knew about Black Mirror. I didn't realise you did Wonka, Bad Sisters, Sex Ed, and something on Gladiator 2 as well.
Yeah, some of the things I have done as like the whole project.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And some of those credits I've done like a bit on.
Yeah. But,
So,
you're doing them.
I'm doing them.
Yeah. I was like, oh, wow. Come on.
I know.
Super cool. Very impressive.
Very, very cool.
You began with us a little while ago now, didn't you? So I think it was The Swimmers was that right? Was
When
that
I
how
met
it crossed
George.
paths? Yeah.
Yeah.
Was that on set? George was on set for a day,
Yeah.
wasn't he?
Yeah.
Because there's a scene in that film, for anyone that's not seen it, which is one of the girls is training in a refugee camp because she still has dreams of becoming an Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
So he was on set making her do weird exercises with water bottles and
Yeah.
stuff. So were you filming that stuff?
He'd also been with us in like kind of prep stuff. Like our paths crossed a few times, like around the project because he'd been training the girls, so he was kind of there quite a lot, and so yeah, and obviously he's just such a lovely human, and so it was just like chatting, and then he and I ended up, I sort of shot a bit of second unit stuff, and so we were just literally doing stuff where we were like basically a few of us sent away to kind of get these shots of her working
Like doing
out,
the training.
basically, yeah. And so it was sort of George basically directing and me shooting, and it was really fun. It was really, really fun.
But that was like a very different day of work.
Yeah. And I think it was like, I think for George as well, it was like, I don't think he'd done something where he would kind of like, done something like that as well. And so it was kind of really, it was cute. It was fun. And yeah.
So from that point, then you'd always like exercise, and then you started coming into Before the Lights before we'd built this kind of bigger club space.
Yeah.
And what was it that made you look for PT at that point then?
So I'd had a kind of maybe slightly complicated relationship with like working out, in that like I just always hated it, but I always
the complication was I
just really disliked it.
I just fucking hated it, basically. It's complicated, but I was like, I have to do it. Like my job requires me to do it. Like I'm a camera operator, but something that I started out doing was steadicam, which is, for anyone who doesn't know, is basically carrying around like 20-30 kilos around on your body, and in camera form. And it requires a lot of stamina, it requires a lot of strength, and you know, I'm a big believer that anyone can do it if you put your mind to it and you try it.
So is that the piece of kit that you can move around and run and stuff?
Yeah,
and it
essentially
stabilizes itself.
Yeah, essentially it's like you can create dolly-like shots, like track and dolly kind of type shots, but sort of in a handheld fashion, if you like, and you create stabilized shots, and you can kind of walk upstairs, you can walk kind of anywhere that's, you know, you physically can, and you know, the more nimble and the more stamina you have, the better you're going to be, and the more you can achieve, and the more that you can go for. The worst I've ever done, I think, is like 27 takes on a film.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And weirdly, it was because of sound. It was like it was a really weird
Were you
shoot.
like, I'm doing my job?
I was
Come
like,
on.
Okay. It's really strange. But anyway, yeah, that was a weird day. But basically, you kind of have to be able to do that to be successful in my job. You need to be able to kind of keep saying yes. And also, when I started, I was the first woman to ever do it in the UK.
Wow.
And so basically, I kind of had this, I guess, pressure a little bit to be better than anyone else, because I knew that I was always going to be judged on my gender rather than not necessarily always, but like definitely I was heavily going to be judged on my gender, because people hadn't seen it before, and they didn't even have an idea that it was possible, because people have their biases and everything. And so basically I kind of knew that I had to really excel, and I had to really be able to say yes all the time, regardless of how I was feeling. I would internalize any kind of struggle big time, and I would just have to go, no, like, I'm doing this, and it doesn't matter if I literally want to vomit right now. Like,
I was going to
will
bring it
hide
up
that, and I will
like,
do that anyway.
People tend to say the word cameraman, which must be annoying.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it is.
Like, it's not a man's job.
But
you obviously saying there that you were the first woman to ever do Steadicam is pretty amazing.
How did you get into that?
So I just didn't know that I didn't know what I was up against. Like, I was very naive. I went to film school. I left. I knew that I didn't really want to be a camera assistant, because I didn't necessarily think that I wanted to go into shooting like big movies and shows, like the kind of stuff that I do now. It wasn't really my intention. I wanted to kind of shoot documentaries and do my own thing, like more small scale, and it's kind of what I was interested in doing. And so I just bought like a tiny Steadicam, because I knew a guy that had one, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And it had like a tiny, DSLR camera on it and sort of thing, and kind of got like into it. I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then I do like a music video for a mate, and then I do like, a short film with a friend, and kind of it kind of grew from there as a thing that I was like, oh, I'm actually quite interested in this as a thing, rather than necessarily like a tool that I was using for achieving something else. And so I kind of I sort of spent, I suppose, like a year or two working really, really, really hard at doing it. I would kind of say yes to like anything, like any old crap, like absolutely anything. And I do anything as well to get paid to do it, because I was working I was like doing non-camera jobs basically. And
Is that the route for a lot of people in? Because I guess like the images of the person being in charge of the camera and having creative input into what is actually being shot. But like any job, that's kind of the higher end of the scale of it, isn't it? So there's all the other stuff that you would do before that point. I imagine.
So my entry into the film industry and doing what I'm doing is absolutely not what anyone does at all. I just had this kind of very unusual journey into it, and I think because I was like focusing on doing steadicam, it was like I just kind of got good at it, like relatively quickly, I suppose, but sort of by accident. But also, I was working really hard. Like it was, and I didn't. Again, like I didn't think like, oh, I'm going to get like a full size rig. Like I basically, until I got the rig that I have now, which takes anything sort of thing. Like I had got like a slightly bigger rig that took like a little bit of a slightly
and by that you
bigger
mean
camera.
like a bigger camera and more complex.
So the rig itself is the thing that that holds the
and that's
camera
what you wear
essentially.
on your body.
And that's attached around the
effectively.
hips, right?
So there's 3 components to a Steadicam. It's a vest and an arm and what we call a sled. And there's sort of different elements within those components that make it up. But effectively, you have a vest which has to fit you really, really precisely, and that can sometimes take like a year for people to actually even like really understand how
I guess
it fits
when
on
you
your
say
body.
there's potentially 30 kilos.
Yes.
Is it like hanging from that?
Yes.
bit?
So basically, you have the vest, and then you have an arm that attaches to the vest, which is essentially like effectively a spring, which you can change the way that the weight sits on it. So how much weight you have on the sled, all of everything is affected
It comes
basically
back through your body.
Yeah, exactly. And so that sits there, and you have what we call a socket block. I'm getting super technical here, but
That's really
okay. What you call a socket block, which sits about here. It depends. Some people operate it on the other side, so you're either regular, which is the arm coming out of your right hand side, or you're goofy, which is the
It's like skateboarding
terminology. Or you're goofy, or you can be back mounted as well, where the arm comes out of the back. So you can be back mounted regular and back mounted.
I can always tell
well.
in the reformer if someone's done a couple of days of Steadicam, because they're just like, even though it's on your hips, there's still obviously you're on one foot when you're moving around, right? One back foot, one front foot.
Kind of. I mean, in an ideal world with this stuff, so the reason I'm sort of getting a bit technical about the socket block stuff is because in an ideal world, the weight actually sits evenly on your body.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then that's when you get into problems. And so it took me years to find like a vest, for example, that actually didn't hurt my back. And I spent years of my career. Like, I remember, I think I was shooting season 1 of Sex Education, and I got like quite a bad back at one point, and I had to take like half a day off. I went to a physio, and I was like, oh my God, like I'd done like a whole week of just non-stop. We used to do a lot of shots in the hallways, and we'd do these long takes where we'd kind of do these really fun shots, sort of like where you'd like take a character and someone would come in and they'd take over the frame, and you'd come in, and we'd choreograph these really fun shots, and we did loads of them in the hallways, and we'd done like a week of just like kind of non-stop doing it. And I think my back was really like compensating at one point. And also at this point, again, good like to point out, like I hadn't really been focusing on my fitness again at that point because of that like relationship. Like I had been to see PTs before, I had done that kind of stuff generally, but I just always hated it, and it was definitely not a focus of mine at all. And so I kind of like really hurt my back, and then I got a different vest in to borrow it and see how that would fit for a week, and it literally, I was like,
game changer.
I was like, oh my God, like suddenly I kind of realized that I could have this career for like however long I wanted.
Because forcing your way through it up until that point.
Because I'd constantly had this back problem on one side, that like this back strain.
Have you then found that establishing that kind of routine of exercise is much more beneficial when you're actually on set working? Do you feel the difference?
It's massively, like hugely. And like, like I said, I think anyone can do this job, but I do think it's super, super important that you focus on what your body is capable of outside of that. Because although actually what we do, definitely exercises are our bodies, like whether it's handheld or steadicam. I mean, you know, less so when you're obviously sat on a dolly or whatever, but like when you're doing the physical parts of the job that I do, you absolutely are working your body quite hard.
And you don't want to feel like that is a struggle.
Yeah.
So you want to be able to
100%.
do the work before that point that sets you up in order to be able to step on,
big time,
carry the camera,
Big time.
feel completely comfortable and in control, and then probably think about what you're doing creatively a lot more rather than thinking, oh, my back's fucked.
I don't ever want to be in a situation where I'm like, you know, and it has twice ever in my career. One I was telling you earlier about that I was on a job and I threw my back out, and it sort of turned out I had a very minor slip disc, which I think most people wouldn't have noticed the level of slip disc that I have. Like most people wouldn't have noticed it, but because of what I do and just moving just in slightly the wrong way in the right moment with all that weight on and all of that stuff, you know, sometimes these things don't happen when you've got all the weight on. They happen because you've sneezed or something, and it's just a really, you know.
Did you also
annoying
find, like
thing,
you said earlier, you were saying yes to everything, and was there an element of you were stepping into what's considered like a man's position, or like a world that's dominated by men in that industry? Did you feel there's like pressure and to be able to do the job and to be able to just carry on doing the job without making a fuss or anything like that? Yeah, because that must be quite daunting on its own if you detach the whole injury part of it.
It was a part of my career that I didn't choose to you know, it was circumstantial that I was in that position. And there's kind of good things and difficult things about it, but it's my career is different to any other man's career because of it.
But it's nice to see now because even here we work, like I specifically work with a lot of camera operators, female camera operators, and that's amazing.
I told them all to go.
Yeah, thanks, Hen. We didn't know you were the leader.
You're at a point in your career then where you feel like, obviously you know what you're doing, and you feel physically capable and confident in your own self doing that job. Do you still get those moments where you go into these big productions and feel intimidated in terms of if you are still the only woman that's there and working with other people, or is it starting to kind of level out a bit? Do you feel more that you're in control of stuff and you're more recognized in that way?
Yeah, I think I feel pretty confident in my work, to be honest. Like I mean, I've done this job now for like 12 years. So I feel I do feel quite confident in like what I know that I can do, what I can offer. But still, you get nervous before any job, really, because it's always something different and there's new challenges and there's always something new to learn.
Is it very different going from like a smaller budget film to some of those big TV shows? Like, imagine Black Mirror is quite a big setup, is it? Or is it not so
It's
much?
not that big, actually. It's not really that big. I think it's culturally, I would say it's kind of quite big. But in terms of the production, like they're actually pretty low budget show. It's actually a pretty low budget show. But I always love doing that. I've done three episodes with those guys now, and they're awesome because they're basically a movie in itself. So, but you shoot for like 3-4 weeks or something. And
what's the biggest budget sort of thing you worked on then?
I don't know. I mean, I guess I've done like bits on like really big movies, like you say, like Wonka and Gladiator. Like I've done bits on them, and I've just finished a Marvel show, which I think was pretty ginormous budget, actually.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Like I don't
Marvel.
really know the numbers.
Does your day-to-day change when it's a smaller show versus like a big Marvel type thing, or is it the job is still the same? Like you
the
go
job's
in and
the
you do
same.
the same thing. Basically.
The job's the same. You just you have the difference is time and resources. So on something like Black Mirror, mainly resources, actually, because even if I think about the Marvel show, it's like really you don't actually have that much time. You don't have as much time as I mean, we shot for 6 months for 8 episodes, but actually like
Which
every
sounds
day
like, if you
felt,
don't understand how it works, it sounds like loads of time.
yeah, but it's really
But
not.
it's not.
Like because the amount of time that it takes for us to set things up, like it's complicated. Like what we do is complex. Like we don't just kind of like stick a camera there and go, that looks cool. Like there's a process, there's a process that takes time, and there are things, there are ways in which we can make things go quicker, and there are ways in which we can make things more complicated.
Do you get quite a lot of input then creatively into how something's going to look? And is that a different element of the job as well?
Yeah, so my input in the job varies quite massively depending on who I'm working with. So but yeah, for example, the Marvel show that I just did, I had quite a lot of it. So with camera operators, or I guess with the hierarchy, to sort of explain it a little bit, you have the director of photography, who is the head of the department, of the camera department, but also the head of grip and lighting. So again, just to try and break it down a little bit, grip is anything that the camera sits on, effectively. So if you imagine the camera is run by the camera department, so anything associated with the camera, the lenses, the wireless focus, the image control, all of that kind of stuff, that is run by the camera department. And then the grip department run everything else, so the dollies, the cranes,
So the hardware for what it takes to
effectively the
actually
metal,
be.
kind of like they're like "Ugh," and yeah.
Are there many women in that environment?
So
Or is that quite a
only really
manly-
recently. So I mean, it's definitely, we have like in the film industry, you have certain departments that are, like. I quite like imagining people's names in those departments, because you very often get them right. You get them right, like in makeup and in like you just do. And there are the stereotypes. They totally exist, and they
funny.
really are there. And of course, there are loads of people who don't fit the stereotype.
What's a
but
grip's name?
like Dave is
It's a good solid name,
yeah. But
Without
there's
picking things
always a Dave. There's always a Dave.
There's always Dave anyway.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Quite often
there's like 4 or
Particularly in the
5
grip
Daves here.
department.
Maybe I should do that.
Yeah.
It's your
You'd be a
calling.
good grip. You'd be a good grip. Yeah.
So basically, you're changing things. You're bringing some feminine energy into that world.
I would say I'm probably quite different to most other camera operators. Yes. But yeah, so there are some women in the grip department, but effectively, so it's
Davinas.
Davinas, so yeah, the director of photography, and then the way the hierarchy works with the operator and the DP and the director. When I say DP, I mean director of photography. Is that can be really interchangeable. So that kind of circle of people, it can be super. So sometimes, like, we work in. There's a bit more of a British system and a bit more of an American system in the way that we work. And so in more of the American system, which is probably more how I've just been working, is that the director of photography focuses probably predominantly on the lighting. So we'll work with the lighting department, the gaffer, who is the head of the lighting department, and will very much be focused on lighting. And the director and the operator will be working out the shots a little bit more, because the shots tend to be something that a director maybe wants to, it's a perspective thing, right? So where you put the camera is super important, because it's a perspective.
And is that quite a collaborative thing in terms of if they're like, right, I want to achieve X, Y, and Z, and then you go, in my opinion, this is the best way of doing that.
That's an example of how I would work. Totally. Cool. Yes. Yeah. And sometimes I will. I'll be there during the blocking with the actors as well. We call the blocking with the actors, which is like the actors will run their lines maybe first to get a feel of the lines with, in the space, and then they'll kind of go, maybe I'll be sat here, or I'll be stood here, or I'd be doing this, and you kind of go round and you kind of, the actors feel it out, and the director kind of helps it out. And then sometimes as a DP or an operator, you'll kind of go, oh, it might be interesting if, like, at that point, you maybe turn that way because there's an interesting shot here and I've noticed something that is like, or if they're like, oh, it'd be interesting to do this as a steadicam shot, I'd probably get even more involved, particularly if it's like something a bit more complex, because I might say, you know, maybe you can deliver your line this way, or we can.
So you're getting quite a lot of input
Yeah.
into what actually ends
Yeah,
up being the final,
very much so.
the final
Super
image that
cool.
people see.
Very
then.
much so, yeah.
That's really rewarding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
to
super
get to
cool.
see that.
But
come
then
to life.
sometimes you can work with people who don't want any input from
And
you.
they're just like point and
you,
shoot.
Yeah, you just go, here's a frame, just do that thing.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
It's harder to do with Steadicam because of the nuance of Steadicam and the perspective. And for me as an operator, I like to be, I like to really respond to what's in front of me. So there's kind of two ways of operating in a way. Like the way I think about it is there's sort of two ways. There's one which is like very much like reactive kind of operating, which is like I don't necessarily know exactly where it's going to go, but I'm gonna tune in to what's in front of me. And
That must be even harder then, that you're having to kind of anticipate what's happening a little bit.
For me, that's the way
You are.
yeah, that's the way I am. And
Because you're girly pop. You're sensitive.
sensitive. But yeah, it's for me, it's about connecting on a really, really deep emotional level to what's in front of me. And so you're the first audience, right? So as an operator, I'm the first audience. And so I'm responding to what is happening in front of me. And that might change take to take, because an actor might change take to take, and I want to be able to facilitate that. And so the other way of kind of operating, which sometimes is necessary depending on how technical the shot is that we're doing, is we kind of, you know, we put marks down and we kind of almost do A to B to C. It's kind of like, right, you know, if there's a move and you go, right, you know, there's an actor here and they move to here and the dolly needs to go from here to here, or the rig or whatever, and you put marks down for the actors, and sometimes it's critical that they hit those marks, and sometimes you get actors who struggle with that and you have to try and accommodate that, or sometimes you get actors who are amazing at it, and it tends to be like older actors who have like really been there, done that they really understand marks and stuff, that they're really good. But equally, sometimes you work with old actors who just don't want to do it, and that's fine, you know, and you have to try and accommodate. And so I prefer anyway to be reactionary, but it's different. Like you can achieve different kinds of things if you're being very, very technical about marks.
There's a lot more that goes into it than you would anticipate or you'd expect, isn't there, in terms of being the viewer. There's
Like
all these things that, I guess your job is to make someone not think about that stuff.
Totally.
That you're watching something and you're fully involved in it.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
that's what's like the
like
art
imagine
of it.
like a Wes Anderson movie, right? You watch a Wes Anderson movie,
God, that
and the
stuff
way they're
moves all the time, doesn't it?
but the
Everything.
way it's curated is hyper specific technically, right? Hyper specific. So in that sense, you're not, as an operator, reacting to an emotional moment that an actor's giving you. You're going, it's A to B to C, and those are the exact points. And I've no doubt that on one of his sets, like the actors are very much hitting the marks, so that you are exactly lining up with the line in the background, you know, because the things that I'll think about are
you must see
what's
a film
behind their head. Like, you know, right now I'm looking at you and I'm like, if I was shooting you here, there's a plant behind your head and I would get rid of that, for example. You know, these kinds of things that you have to think about every single thing.
I guess
in the
that
frame
can't
and how
help
people
but
are
then
reacting.
bleed into how you live.
Totally.
Like you're just going around, you see all these things in a different way, and like when you're watching a TV show or a film, you're probably watching it in a completely different way.
That's so interesting.
Yes.
And you know, so you're the first audience. So when you're filming something like Swimmers, like I sobbed through that film.
Yeah.
Is
So
that-
did I.
Yeah, I mean, are you sobbing in the moment?
Yeah, totally. There are moments where you film things where, and that's a wonderful thing about it, is that when I know it's really good when I'm literally
Feeling it.
or I'm really struggling not to laugh, because that's another thing. You know, sometimes you're shooting comedy stuff and you're like, oh,
That would be
fuck,
so.
this
I'd be
is
terrible at
See the
laughing.
camera
fucking
shaking.
funny. And I've definitely been in situations where the camera's shaking because I'm laughing, and I'm like, oh, keep it in,
I guess
keep
it's
it
like,
in.
is it acceptable if it's the actors that lose it, but if it's the camera operator that's losing it, they're like, fucking, come on, get on with the job.
Unacceptable. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. No one's going to enjoy the blooper reel where the actor's doing something really on point and the camera's just doing that. It's like,
Going back to kind of talking about how different genders and different types of people are in different parts of that department, I suppose. Have you noticed across the board that there's a wider interest in health and well-being and people looking after themselves since you've been working?
Yeah, probably. I mean, the industry's changed massively. Like, sort of, there's a stereotype of 30 years ago where like all the blokes, it was really all blokes, certainly in lighting and grip, and very, very few in camera, where they would be at the pub at lunch. Like, that was normal.
Really?
That was literally normal.
It's like a proper like boys club then.
No, I mean, like really, really very different to now. Like, properly, like, people would always be at the pub at lunch. Like, that was like that was like normal. That was just normal. And now, that's like very much not normal. Although Pinewood Studios, guys, they have a new cafe, and when I was working, it was my home this year, basically for 6 months. Pinewood Studio, they now have a cafe that serves booze, and I was like, for the first time, I was like, oh, sometimes I'd go and sit out there. We were like at the stage right next to it, and I'd just like go and like lie down, like have like 10 minutes where I'd just like ignore the world and be like, oh my god, like 10 minutes to myself without someone wanting something from me, and then I'd look over and be like, wait a minute, it's like riggers and like,
Everyone's just having beers.
Yeah, like all these people. I was like, they're having beers. I was like, oh my god. So it's coming back apparently.
Yeah.
There we go.
Why
Beers
not?
at lunch are back apparently.
Maybe
guys.
it's 0% beer.
Yeah.
That's everywhere these days.
Yeah.
Do you actually do like a physical warm up before?
Not really. Sometimes a little bit, but I'm so hyper anyway that I'm like normally just jumping around.
You are. You are
Yeah.
Like, morning guys.
Yeah.
She's not even had coffee. And she's like,
Are you looking to make it more of a common workplace for women to get into and to change that environment a little bit? Because you're kind of like, use the word trailblazer,
like carving the
like
way.
if you're
yeah.
literally the first one to be there, and you're changing that environment by being there.
No pressure.
Are you aware of like now there's more people? Because you said, we were chatting earlier, you went to Brit school and you had it in your mind that you wanted to go in that direction. Obviously you said more documentaries and that kind of thing. Are you keen to get involved with helping a younger generation of girls find their way into filmmaking then?
Yeah, I mean, basically, I've been doing that since I started.
And was that a deliberate thing, or was that something that just kind of happened?
Very much deliberate.
Yeah.
Because, to be honest, you know what? It first came, I was really green when I started helping people. Like, I really was very green, but
there was no one else to help them, because no one else had really done it
to help
much
them.
before.
But for me, at first, my motivation was slightly different to what my motivation is now. But like, my motivation at the time was genuinely, I was so annoyed that I would go on set and I'd be like I don't know, I felt like I was at a zoo or something. Like as in, I
ostracized a
was
little
the
bit, yeah.
I was
Really?
the thing. Yeah, like there were things that I would go on to and people would be like, oh my god, no, you don't understand. They'd literally want like photos of me. Like it was guys, it was crazy.
way.
There were times where it was like people would like make such a big deal of it. People would make such a big
This
deal
just
of it.
seems so
And
mad. I guess
would
because
No.
like general population, it's a world that we never get to see into.
yeah.
We're privy to it a little bit because of the people that we work with in the
Yeah.
industry. But like 99% of people, you watch a show, you watch a film or whatever, you never really see much
Yeah.
unless there's been some sort of like behind the scenes element of it.
Yeah,
Which is probably very
yeah.
much like a tiny snapshot anyway.
Yeah,
But like
totally.
that seems
It's not very
insane.
behind the scenes stuff is never really focused on the crew as well.
Yeah.
No, it's
Like
not.
you never really see, you never actually, they're there filming. They film us, but they never edit.
Especially
They
actors.
never edit.
Yeah.
It seems I can't get my head around that you're in a place where it just seems like that should have happened
A long time ago.
ages ago.
Is
So
it the same in America?
So there were a couple of women in America who started it, and there were women who were operators before me. So Lucy Bristow, who's an amazing woman, she was the first sort of career camera operator in the UK, and she's amazing. And then Zoe Goodwin Stewart, who is a brilliant camera operator, she was operating before me, but not doing steadicam. So, but I think it was pretty much just the two of them as like career operators,
Yeah.
basically, and so they'd kind of, and especially Lucy, because she's in her 60s. So and like even after her, there was like no one for years. Like she was the only one for just such a long time. Like when I tell her that I'll tell people that I'm like on my period or something if I'm grumpy on set, she's like, she cannot believe that I would say something like that on set. She wouldn't even tell people that she had kids. Like like it was like, no, oh my God, like any kind of like actual reality that you're a woman, that you might have a life that a woman has in the capacity, in those kinds of things. Like she couldn't believe that I would ever say anything like that. But I'm very much someone who is, you see what you get. And
I was
so
going to say, it takes a certain personality to go in that environment and just be like, this is what
I'm just going to be me, and I'm always authentic. And so therefore, like, I'm going to speak to, a runner or a trainee in the same way that I'm going to speak to number one on the call sheet, because I don't really give a shit. Like, I'm just going to be a person and you're a person. So I'm just going to talk to everyone.
And what was it then you were doing when you said you were kind of annoyed about it to begin with, and that you wanted to start helping other people trying to find their way? What were the things that you were doing in that way?
Well, so I literally was just like, I'd find women who were like, oh, that's cool, I kind of want to do that. I would I would kind of train and mentor women in my own
It's amazing
time.
that you do that off your own back and just be like, right, a lot of people would do their job, go home and kind of just go like, can't be asked.
Yeah.
But to obviously then, have you seen that people that you've started training and helping are now fully involved and have their own career and all that kind of stuff?
So,
which is like, again, that seems like you're too young to be in that position almost. Like, that just seems like the lady you were talking about before who's in her 60s.
Yeah.
That would be her and you would be you.
Yeah.
But it's like
I've done a lot at a young age, sort of unusually. I have always kind of run before I could walk. And so I'm very much someone who, I can't really sit still, and I can't, like, anything, like if I feel in any way sedentary about anything, I will just be chasing something else. And so I started doing what I'm doing when I was 22, and so I'm nearly 35, and so I have had like a whole career now, and I've helped quite a lot of people, like not just women but men as well, who are really brilliant and want my help. And but there's several women who are now working as operators in the industry that I've helped sort of mentor and train.
Do you have any advice for like younger women in particular, or girls should I say, who are trying to get into this, into your world? I mean, really, for like, it's about just getting your head down and working really, really, really hard. Like there's no other route to like working really, really hard. But I think that you need to, I think it's like, it is also like being authentic and like doing what you want to do, and like asking loads of questions. Like when I have trainees that ask me loads of questions, it makes me excited about them, because I know that they really want to be there and they want to learn. And so it makes me want to teach them, actually. And so asking, obviously at the right time, but being really enthusiastic and asking loads of stuff at the right time is like, is the way that you kind of do it. Like the women that have come to me that I've helped, like they've generally, or they're already in the camera department, and but it's the enthusiasm. Like there was a period where I was kind of like, I was so motivated to change the landscape of the industry that I was kind of not always necessarily actually helping the right people, and I would find myself like annoyed about it, because I'd be like, oh, they're not actually like doing this or doing that, and like, why aren't they? And it's because like actually doing that wasn't the right thing for them to do, and I was maybe putting my effort actually sometimes into the wrong people. And so I think it's like, as long as you want it enough, like that's it's kind of all you need. Like you just need to want it enough, but you have to really, really want it. Like if you're that,
it's not, nothing's easy and just
it's
laid
not
out.
easy, and you have to work really, really hard. Like you like to achieve the, like, the kinds of work that people want to achieve. Like it just takes a lot of hours. It's a lot of
Yeah.
hours. There's no getting around the hours
We
that you
see
need in it.
now, and it's quite cool. And you obviously know all these guys as well. There's like I think Georgia mentioned it. There's like a little crew of female camera operators that
Yeah.
all come here,
Yeah.
and we see you guys kind of leave and then
And
come
come
back a
back.
couple of months later, and it's like, oh, where have you been? What have you been doing?
Yeah.
And it always
They
is
lie
that.
down like this
It always does seem that like
on the reform.
it's been very demanding and very tiring,
Yeah.
and then you guys come back in here to sort of rebuild.
Yeah, it totally.
get ready to
For
go
me, it's
again
like
in a way.
rebuilding. Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've got a potential job that I'm starting early next year, and I'm kind of trying to spend this time now that I've just finished this, 6-month thing that just like nearly killed me. But like to rebuild and because I sort of the routine is almost impossible to I wake up at like 5:30. I get myself to work. I get home at like
Yeah, the hours
8,
are
9
insane.
o'clock.
And you guys aren't getting picked up and driven,
No.
chauffeur driven in and out.
No, we don't get the
No.
luxuries that other people at this gym get.
You're on
guys.
the tube
I know.
and the bus.
Yeah,
like
we
everyone
get
else.
the crew fodder. They get the special food. All of that.
Is
shit.
the standard of food different? Like
Yeah.
for the masses. in
Yeah,
terms of food?
man.
Because
Yeah,
that's something that
man.
needs to be addressed, and I think we
Yeah.
spoke about it the other week
Yeah.
It
with
does need to be addressed.
like writers and people like that
Yeah.
have started to request different things in writers' rooms and stuff, and that they feel the benefit of having better options and healthier food because they're not kind of eating processed food and sugary
Yeah.
stuff and then energy levels dipping.
Yeah.
And for you guys, it's really important. You need to sustain your output
Yeah.
for however many hours. You
Yeah.
would have just thought that someone must have considered that.
It's
but
really funny that people don't consider. It always blows my mind actually, and very often I bring my own food in.
Uh-huh.
So I have spent probably a vast amount of my career on top of the hours that I do and the driving that I do to get to and from work, making my own food because it is just the oils, the salts, the fat, like everything. I'm just like, that is just not doing me any good. And even it's crazy, like the job that I've just done, like the production manager would come, and it became quite a funny thing really, but he would come like always asking for overtime, and we'd be like, okay, you've just done like a whole day, and then they want another hour, and you're just like, oh my god, and you're really tired, and they come around and they bring chocolate bars, and I'd just be like, what are you doing? Like, what can you like? Do you not realise how stupid that is? Like, don't bring me a chocolate bar. Like,
Everyone's
and it
getting
was
really
quite funny.
tired and
Like,
cranky.
he'd be like, sorry, but please, can you stay with this bag of chocolate bars? And I'd just be like, I'll stay, but I'm not like, what do you mean? Like,
Yeah.
like, can you just
You're not
give
like
me-
a 3-year-old.
I don't know, give me like a healthy juice or something to give me a
Yeah,
little boost. I don't know, just something. I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
what are you
yeah.
talking about?
I also feel like on a lot of the sets that I've been on as well, they've had saunas, they've had gyms like on set. And I feel like your job is so physical that it's only used like an hour or 2 hours tops a day by specific people.
Yeah, I would
Yeah,
never
it's
get
for,
I feel
access
like
to
there's,
that.
for
like,
the,
no one
talent
would.
I
rather
would
than
never
for
get
the-
access to any
No
of that
way.
stuff, guys. No way.
But it's such
no
a
way.
waste, I feel.
Yeah.
Look,
We
there's
get
something- this is
treated
something we'll try
very
and
different.
address.
We get treated very differently, guys. Like
Yeah.
honestly, like it is, so it is what it is. That's the way the industry works. But we
Yeah.
get treated very, very, very differently.
Mm.
Like we are not, And I think from my experience, like a lot of actors, I know that they don't like the kinds of special treatment they get aside
Yeah.
from
Mm.
the crew because they see that as well, and it's there's definitely the way I like to work. I see everyone just as I said before, like just as a person. And
You're all in it
for me-
together,
yeah,
and it's like doesn't
we're a
matter
team.
who the
You're all
person
my
is that you're
colleagues.
seeing. Yeah.
We're all just colleagues. We're all
Yeah.
in this room. We're all making this thing together. We all want it to be brilliant, and that's that. And so for me, there shouldn't really be, a difference between who we are and what we do. And I don't know. It's for me, it's quite a strange thing to create a divide. But on certain sets, there is a divide that is created, and that's not. I guess it can occasionally be by cast members, depending on situations. But generally it's not actually. It's a kind of I don't know, it's like an industry thing that is created. And you know, I get it. There's insurances involved, there's a lot of money riding on these things. So if anything happens to the cast, then they're not really replaceable.
Yeah.
I'm replaceable. Ultimately,
Doesn't
me
sound like you
and-
are, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's no one else doing it.
But like, yeah. There's no one else doing
They're
it.
like, we fucked this one.
But in the grand sense of things, on a money level, on an insurance level, all that kind of
yeah.
stuff,
Fair
I
play.
am replaceable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whereas, you know, number one on the call sheet is not replaceable. The whole thing goes down. And so that's where it stems from. And so I get that. But
Yeah. This seems like
you
an
know.
opportune moment to bring in our section, Humbled in Hollywood,
Oh yeah.
which is about any moments that people have kind of, because it is still, and you are in that, you've described a more real side of it,
Yeah.
but it's still, for the average person, a very glitzy, kind of exciting place to be.
Yeah.
In general, that industry. Are there any moments where you've been in an environment or anything like that that's kind of brought you back down to earth? And we say this, and it can be stories from the gym, or people have told us about auditions that they've done and that kind of stuff. Have you ever had moments like that?
So basically, one of the Black Mirror episodes I was shooting a couple of years ago was with Salma Hayek, and she's a hoot. She is so much.
She seems like
She
she would
does seem
be. I'm
fun.
glad
She is
that's
so
the
much
case.
fun.
I'm glad that's the case.
She was amazing to hang out with for a couple of weeks, and just, you know, she is someone who brings a certain kind of energy immediately into the room without doing anything. She just walks into a room, and you know, the
Because she's a
energy
mega babe.
She's
is
a mega babe. and-
Everybody's just gone, "Ooh."
yeah. It's kind of
Literally.
it's she's just great. And I was setting up this really, really complex shot. When I'm setting shots like that up, I have to get actors to work with me. So it's not about them in that moment. When I'm doing a shot like that, I have to kind of coach them
Yeah.
on what I need from them
Okay.
in order to achieve it. And so anyway, so I was doing the shot, super complex. I'd practiced it a whole bunch of times with the stand-in. And I was kind of at a point where I was like, it's not 100%, but I think we're ready for Selma to come in and like start trying it. And so anyway, she looked and saw, she came in, she saw a playback of something that we did, and she was like, oh, okay, yeah, I think I sort of see what you're trying to do. And then we did one with her, and didn't go perfectly, but it was sort of like an idea of it. And we watched playback, and she was like, oh yeah, no, I get it. And she loved it, and she loved the shot. So she was like, yeah, okay, let's make this work. She was like invested, you know. So she was like, yeah, cool. And then we did another one, and it was like, okay, well, it's not quite there. And I'm counting. I'm basically counting. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sound hated me, obviously, but I had to, you know, because it was like all these things happening, and basically, and then cueing her to move. Right, I'm cueing her to do all these things, and cueing everyone to do all these things. Anyway, and then we watch it again. She's like, okay. She's like, I think maybe we need different cues. And she was like, why don't you say, just say Salma? And I was like, all right, okay. And she was like, no, it's too long. It's too long to say Salma. Just say bitch. And I went, what? And she went, yeah, just say bitch. And I was like,
You're shouting bitch at her.
so I was like,
Salma.
oh, okay. Okay. And then I was like, oh my God, okay. And then I'm like going back in there, I'm like, okay. And then obviously, like, out of context, no one else knows. Like, it's just kind of like,
Yeah, she said it to you. And
she
not
said it to
anybody
me, like, not everyone else is aware of this. And so I'm going, all right, okay. And obviously all the sound's being recorded, and everyone knows what's going on, and the director's like listening in and on the cans watching the monitor. And so I do this take, and I go, 1, 2, bitch, 3, 4. And that, I sort of said it really quietly, and I'm like, and she was like, yeah, okay. And then we watch it, and we watch it again. And she goes, oh, okay, it's getting there. She was like, the bitch works. We're doing that. And I was like, okay. And then by like take 5, I was just like, 1, 2, bitch, 3, 4. And then
Is everyone like, you've lost your mind?
yeah. And then I was like, right, yeah. And then it just became just that was what we were doing, and I didn't really think about it anymore. But anyway, and then like the producers like come in, and like, Charlie Brooker's there, and like he's coming in, and they're all there, and then they come in and they put the cans on, and I'm unaware that they're there, and that they're coming and listening and watching to what we're doing. And then they all just hear me kind of go, shout bitch at Salma Hayek basically halfway through the take, and they're all just like, what the fuck
but
is
it
going
worked.
on in there? But it worked.
It
There you
worked.
But
go.
it worked. So anyway, basically on all the rushes, and then the editors listening to it, and everyone's just like, oh my god, what's she doing?
If you
Like,
guys saw each
yeah,
other in the
yeah,
street,
yeah.
would you just shout bitch at her?
bitch, probably, yes.
Yeah.
Nice. It probably would. And she'd love it.
I like that.
Yeah.
That was a good
Me
one.
too. That was a very good one.
Yeah.
What is coming up for you? Are you allowed to talk about things that you've not done yet? Because it's like with actors, often they're not allowed to say it. But are you in the same position? Are you allowed
Yeah, I
to
mean, I
say-
sign NDAs as well.
Mm.
Yeah.
So there's secret camera jobs.
secret camera jobs.
There are things happening,
There are things happening.
and then we won't
Camera
find out
jobs.
about them because you won't tell us. So I'll just keep looking at your IMDb.
Yeah,
It's just growing.
exactly.
Growing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, the Marvel thing I did, the mystery Marvel thing I did was, of course, with someone else in the gym. So
Yep.
we're sort of, it's fun now. The gym is at the point where that's now a thing. Where I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, it's a weird
oh,
little melting
like,
pot, isn't it?
Yeah, where I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like now,
Like you guys
we're-
met here and then
Yeah,
reconvened at Pinewood,
yeah.
which
yeah.
is cool.
So cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It was really cool, and yeah, it was really
That's
nice.
Rory Malika. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get him to come on this as well.
Come on, Rory.
Yeah,
I've called
come
him
on,
out now.
Rory.
He has to do
Come
it.
on. You should. But it was really cool because we were like, oh yeah, I know you.
We're gym
cool.
friends.
Yeah, you're gym friends.
Hopefully more and more of that happens.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
That's what
Yeah.
we're trying to build, right?
100%.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for coming on. It's been
Super
like,
cool.
I've learned more in this conversation than we've done on any
Yeah.
of the podcasts before.
Me too.
Thanks, guys.
Again, just
Happy to be
trailblazing.
of
Love
service.
it.
And if younger camera operators are listening to this,
Mm.
is it something where you're like, all right, get in touch with me, and you're looking to help people in
Yeah,
that way?
totally. Yeah. And also, it can be really daunting to understand where to go and look for help and stuff. So, there are some tried and tested kind of methods for certain things as well, and
Yeah.
paths that you can kind of go down and things like that. So, I can always help point people in
Awesome.
those directions and stuff like that
Love
as well.
it.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you very much again. It's been great fun.
Thanks for
Thanks,
having
love.
me.